So why don't I get started while they are hooking the computer up? That's on cue. So a quick introduction. I represent Experian in India. As part of the introduction, it was indicated that I am the country manager for Experian in India. We're not necessarily known beyond the B2B space very well. So I thought by way of a quick sequence, we'll go through a quick introduction to what Experian is and what it does. Get into retail banking and talk about what retail banking challenges are. The context for today's discussion, and we're thinking about the best way to sort of present what we were doing in the context of the sort of relevance to this audience. And I thought that the best way to do it will be to pick up things that are happening within the banking space and the way we are handling those challenges and the way things are evolving in the use of analytics within the retail banking space. So we look at Indian banking contextually and also move into looking at what we call Analytics 2.0 from within the Indian banking space. And I wanted to have a quick discussion in the end about implementation and the sort of challenges thereof. That said, a quick introduction to Experian. For those of you who've not heard of us, Experian is basically a data and analytics company. We're the largest player in the space globally. We are known more for credit bureaus that we run. We run bureaus in about 19 countries. The stats are there for you to see. The great thing about Experian is that it's a pure play data analytics company that has been working on a lot of data. So for us, the legacy of what work we do on analytics actually comes from the amount of data that we hold and the work that we've done with the banking, telecom, retail industry over a period of time. And that's sort of coming to the fore in the new age when data sizes are increasing and the ability to put everything in context is becoming more relevant. A few things that I will call out here that are possibly true of us compared to many of our competitors. Outside of size, it is a fact that we are way more global. Typically, in the data analytics space, if you look at the size of the organization, most organizations tend to be very US-centric. Experian took a call quite some time back to be a lot more international. As a consequence, our presence in the BRICS countries, for instance, is fairly marked. We have a fairly large presence in Brazil, India, China, and Russia. And the good thing is we run multiple businesses there. We basically do four things. We run credit bureaus, which is about 50% of what we do. What's a credit bureau? Basically, a credit bureau is the sort of ability to put together information from the banking system, use that information to provide products and services back that will help retail consumer evaluation being done across the consumer life cycle. I'll talk a little more about this as we go ahead. We do a lot of work given the amount of information that we hold on analyzing this data. So data analytics for us is a fairly large part of our play. Standalone Experian is larger than FICO globally in terms of the work that they do on the analytics space. We have a fairly marked marketing services business and we also run a consumer business. What we've also been focusing on over the last couple of years is is putting a lot of emphasis and play into the big data space in terms of getting a data lab set up. It was our realization early on that data initiatives in the regular course of business will continue, but there's a necessity to put a specific initiative that brings together a certain kind of expertise as well as a certain culture together for data analytics to happen within the consumer space in a much bigger way. So we actually put together a network of professionals who are focused on this, who have just pick up large problems from within the customer space. For us, that would be banks, telcos, insurance companies, the retail organizations, and so on, and then try and solve them. Productizing is a sort of secondary feature. We try and see if we can actually pick up large problems that we can solve. To take a quick step back and look at this in the context of Indian banking, many of you who have looked at analytics in a much bigger way over the last few years, and specifically the sessions that I've seen in play over the last few days, the challenges for the Indian banking industry actually come from the opportunity that it sits on. I keep mentioning this in multiple forums. while we sort of think that the Indian banking industry is a mature industry, the reality is it's about a 10, 15-year-old industry compared to perhaps the depth that consumer banking has in other parts of the world, maybe a legacy of 15, 60 years. So we started as predominantly a corporate banking system that moved into retail banking closer to the 2000, 2001 era with the large private sector banks getting